Hi friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Jen Fetzer and my channel is all about making art and trying to be disciplined in your art and growing as an artist. This video I am working on a page spread in a larger watercolor sketchbook. I'm going to be using Holbein gouache, traditional gouache, so it is water soluble. As you can see, I am currently sketching out some adorable little insects, and I do this all over the page and come up with some different cute little insects. I'm using a Prismacolor Cool Erase pencil for the sketching portion. I will admit, with this particular page spread, I got incredibly discouraged and I set my sketchbook aside for a couple months. This is the Holbein gouache. It's the spring Iridori set. Anyways, like I was saying, I got incredibly discouraged. I feel like the page spread, the sketch that I came up with, 4 of the insects really fit together nicely and they're all within a similar theme, but the cicada I didn't really fit with them. And instead of taking the time to notice this and realize this in the sketching phase, I kind of rushed forward wanting to finish the painting because I had this idea of turning it into a print afterwards. However, once I finished the painting, I realized how much the cicada did not fit in with the rest. In fact, this was so discouraging to me that I set aside the sketchbook for about 2.5 months. I came back to it recently and finished up the page spread, and I kind of had this moment where I realized the whole point of a sketchbook is to make mistakes. This is the place where you are supposed to play, where you are supposed to have fun, where you are supposed to experiment and just really sort of explore as an artist. So why was I getting upset that I made a mistake? That is one of the entire points of having and keeping a sketchbook, is to make mistakes, learn from them, and become better as an artist because of them. The other thing I realized is all I need to do is turn the page and start over again. Now, we might not always like starting over again, but that's the beautiful thing about a sketchbook is you have so many pages to use and fill up. There's nothing wrong with starting over again if you're not satisfied. If you want to perfect your painting or turn it into something else, like in my case, I wanted to make an art print of it, then you need to make sure that it looks right and it's okay to start over. I've been super obsessed with adorable little roly-polies lately. I've been painting them a lot and sketching them a lot. I found out they actually have 14 legs, so 7 pairs of legs. And so now when I draw them, I try to put all 14 in, which is honestly harder than you would think since you're drawing a little itty bitty bug, and 14 legs is quite a lot, but it's fun to do. But you can see throughout this clip that's coming up, I like kind of go back and start counting the legs, like how many more do I need? Where am I at? How many do I have to do? It's an interesting process, that's for sure. So a lot has happened since I last created a full-length video. I have a lot to share with you guys. I actually went to a retreat recently through the Highlights Foundation Retreat Center. You might be familiar with the Highlights magazine. So it was through their sister company, and it was an amazing experience. I'm not going to go into the details now. I will, if I remember, try to link their website below. It's Highlights Retreat Foundation or something along those lines. But like I said, I'm not going to go in the details right now because I think if I do share about that experience, I might want to do it in its own video. I went paddleboarding for the first time about a week ago, and it was an amazing experience. I bought my own paddleboard and I plan on going out a lot during this summer. If you've ever gone paddleboarding, let me know in the comments below. I think it is probably one of the funnest hobbies you can do that is also exercise at the same time. I also bought myself a new computer. So I had been without a computer, or I should say, technically, my old computer still works. It just was never able to handle video editing and the processing of the videos that I create for YouTube. So I was using my iPad for a while, and that was okay, but there was a lot of sort of hiccups and time-consuming things that were involved with that. So I think this might speed up the process for editing the videos. This is the first one that I'm using the computer for to edit, and I'm just using iMovie. It's not as intuitive on the Mac as it was on the iPad, and so I did have to watch some instructional videos and just directly search for some things that I didn't know how to do. But it's actually, now that I'm learning it, I will say it is a lot easier, and I think it's gonna definitely help me save on time with editing once I fully understand the program and how to use it completely. You can see here the cicada beside the worm and how they don't really match stylistically. I do think on the own the cicada is really cute, but it doesn't really have the same style as the other insects, and that kind of makes it stand out and not fit in, unfortunately. That being said, I do think that this cicada would look really adorable on a repeat pattern, something along those lines. So I actually went over this before painting it in. I went over it with regular pencil. I made some dark lines that I then erased before painting it. But so I made the dark lines and I just took regular paper from a notebook, like a, college ruled notebook, and I sort of rubbed the pencil onto the paper and then cut it out and made a stencil of this so that I can do a page spread that is a repeat pattern of the cicada. That's the idea, at least. And then I kind of want to do the other insects again, but this time I might just do it on my iPad. I think that is one of the great benefits to creating digital art is how easy it is. Once you realize that something's not fitting or working, it's much easier to fix digitally than it is on traditional art like this. There's no way for me to go over and fix this at this point with traditional gouache. If I had used acrylic gouache, I could just paint over this and be good to go. Unfortunately, traditional gouache is water soluble, and if I tried to paint over this, the paint would just pick up the paint underneath it and it would just become a smudgy, gross mess. We're getting to the end of the painting portion of this page spread. Although I'm not done yet, I do go in and add details. The painting portion probably took about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then the details, which I do with color pencil, took maybe 20 minutes. They were pretty quick and concise. Overall, I would say it was maybe 2 hours, a little bit longer for this entire page spread. Prismacolors are one of my favorite ways to add texture to traditional gouache. I have tried other colored pencils, but they don't seem to lay down as smoothly on top of the traditional gouache, unfortunately. There's something just in the Prismacolors that makes them work well with this medium. I don't know why I chuckled at those little eyes, but they're so cute. I've also gotten asked about if I have issues sharpening my Prismacolors with the tips falling off. They are a soft core lead, and people have an issue where when they sharpen them, the tips just sort of bust off in the sharpener. I use the Prismacolor brand sharpener, and it has two different options in it. There's one that makes a longer, pointier tip of the colored pencil and one that is shorter. And I use the shorter one. I feel like that helps avoid that issue. I have run across that, especially with my older pencils, but now I have a brand new set that I just got at Christmas time, and I don't run into that issue as often. It's pretty rare that the tips break off, and I'm also sharpening them to the shorter length. I do prefer the longer length. I just think with these particular pencils, you just can't really do it, unfortunately. We are almost to the end of the video, but don't go anywhere yet. You will get to see some final shots of the entire page spread. If you made it this far, first, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And second, if you could go ahead and give a thumbs up, that really helps me and encourage me to want to keep creating content like this. Once again, thanks so much. See you next time.